1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna cook a meal that's gonna make you mine. I'm turning up the oven, now we're ready to roast. When you touch me, honey, you'll love me the most. Come on and put me in your loving stew.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to another Britflix.com podcast. My name is Stuart Wright, and today's guest is Sebastian Toursel.
Hiya.
Welcome.
Thank you.
He is the founder of the Dead Duck Film Club, who is about to become a film festival host
Yeah.
with his one-day celebration of French extreme horror at the Savoy Cinema in Nottingham on Saturday, the 1st of November, yes?
2025.
2025. Starting with Julie Ducournau's Titane,
Yeah.
followed by Claire Denis' High Life,
Yeah.
and a panel to give our frayed nerves a chance to mend. And then into the evening with Coralie Farget's debut feature Revenge, and then closing proceedings with the poster child for the new French extremity movement, Martyrs.
Yeah.
Does that sound like what you're up to?
Absolutely. It's a very exciting lineup. And people say it's very exciting, so I feel like I did a good job at picking the movies.
Indeed, indeed. And then when we've done that conversation, we will move into 3 films that have impacted everything in your adult life.
From a 90s kid.
Indeed, indeed. So start me off then. Dead Duck Film Club,
Yeah.
which is the forerunner to Dead Duck Film Festival.
Yeah.
Why a film club? What made you birth that?
Good question. I think there's something magical in the idea of picking a movie for your friends, and then you do it on a bigger scale in a way. And I kept picking the wrong movies for my friends, I think, meaning that I think there's an actual skill to picking movies for an audience. And I didn't get that for a while. So I was picking the movies that I wanted to see for my friends. One of the classics, like, I've seen this is crazy, you need to watch it. And then they would all go, what was that about? Florida Project comes to mind. Sean Baker's movie.
Okay.
You show that to your friends and they either love it or they don't get it. So anyway, and I was in Nottingham, loved movies, didn't have many people to talk to about it. So I just decided to do it myself. I went to a Loft movie theater screening, which is like another club that's existed for 10 years in Nottingham. They do all their screenings at the Savoy. And I think I went to Starship Troopers, and I just went, I could probably do this. I want to do this, and I want to do it with Old Boy. I want to watch people watch Old Boy, a kind of a voyeurism kind of thing. And so I got in touch with the Loft. They were really gracious. I said, hey guys, what do you think? Do you think I could do this? Is that okay with you guys? I don't want to encroach on your territory kind of thing. And we had coffee. They were super nice. And then I sent an email to the Savoy, and the Savoy were super nice. And I said, we're going to do foreign horror. We're going to do the best of foreign movies. And we started with Old Boy.
And genre is, when you say foreign movies, you're also talking foreign genre movies, or are you?
Yeah, I mean, anything that has subtitles kind of goes to it. And it was kind of to fill a niche in Nottingham also.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also there's this revelation when you watch foreign movies for the first time. You grew up on the American Hollywood blockbusters usually. And then you watch a movie like Old Boy or La Haine in for France, and you go, whoa, like there is a lot more out there that I haven't checked out. And you have this pull to show everybody, for me anyway.
I was having this conversation with a friend recently where if you're from the smallest town in the world, music and film can really open up the world in terms of how people think and how they perceive the rest of the world that you're not experiencing.
It's a bit like traveling,
Yeah.
when you go to another country for the first time, and it kind of blows your mind that they have different supermarkets and this is their everyday life. Movies for me is a bit like that. You get to go to Korea. There's a movie that I saw recently. Ooh, okay, sorry, it's not a perfect. Van Werner's movies, Perfect Life, I think it's called. And it's about
Perfect Days.
Perfect Days, thank you. And it's about a Japanese janitor, right? A janitor in Tokyo who goes and cleans toilets. And I just remember watching this and being like, this is a meditation movie where I'm just following this guy. There's nothing better than following someone doing their job and they do a really good job. I have this, like, it's a subgenre of something. I love it. So yeah, that.
My wife turned to me at the end of that film and said, "That is the most perfect ending to a film I've ever seen."
I remember a lot of crying.
Yeah. But it was because you had that mundanity, but then you also had this
family drama,
this other family drama, which it doesn't dwell on. It just gives you understanding as to why this man is alone.
It's the spice of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's smart because you don't get to the family stuff for a while. So you get to know him and you get to love him, really.
But the question mark is, why is this man on his own?
Why does he
seem so content?
Yeah. So, foreign movies, sharing it with other people, that's what brought me to doing Dead Duck. I just wanted to share that with people.
So, I mean, I've only lived in Nottingham for 12 months, so just humor me. What was the first movie you showed?
Old Boy.
So, and I love your expression. You wanted to see people watch the movie, which,
100%.
Which in a way is when we're introducing our friends to films, we're half looking at that. We know when the good bits are coming, and we're watching our friends. So you're inviting friends and strangers to.
That's got its ups and its downs, because there is something to, like, you show a movie to people, and there's a twist, and you look at them, and they're screaming, they're cringing, and you love it. But then there's when you organize these events and you ask people for money to come to these events, obviously, and then you show them a film, you take responsibility in a weird way, because you go like, I set this up and I did everything I could to convince as many people as I could that this was a movie worth their time. And so you take on that responsibility, and if at the end of the movie you have this energy of like, oh, some people didn't like it, it hits you like a ton of bricks.
Oh, really?
I did Memories of Murder,
right,
by Bong Joon-ho. And I'm not spoiling the movie, but just because it's a real case where there was no they didn't find the killer. Okay, that's a spoiler. Sorry, they didn't find the killer basically at the end of Memories of Murder, and that because in the real life case it was botched case, they didn't find the killer, and so at the end of it, I felt a deflation a bit in the room of like, oh, we've been trying to find the murderer for 2 hours and we didn't find him. And of course, the beauty of Memories of Murder is the movie itself. It's not about the killer. It's about these people. But I remember feeling this sense of responsibility. I'm like, oh my God, I convinced all these people to come and watch the movie. And, and so I ended up doing like this whole thing on Instagram trying to explain the movie at the end.
You really did take it to heart in terms of that you saw this reaction. That
night I was posting stories on like, hey, spoilers ahead. This is based on a real life case. And, they didn't find them. There's a reason for that. And the beauty of it, trying to comfort myself in a way.
But that ending is, that idea of an unresolved ending, I suppose, is what you're getting at. It's not too dissimilar to, say, how some people react to Haneke's Hidden.
Okay.
Where that ends, where you kind of, it's open. But the experience of watching a film is the thing you're meant to take away.
Yeah, I think it's just
not the satisfaction of solving something.
No, but there's so much frustration in that movie around who's the killer, and it feels like a murder mystery where they interrogate a bunch of people, and you're trying to get to getting to the bottom of it is a genre.
And I think what you're also addressing is, I think this is maybe something, one of the differences between sort of foreign language cinema compared to, say, the Hollywood version of it. So, say, The Vanishing, the original Dutch version, isn't as hard an ending as if you watch the American remake, which ties a neat bow around the story. So you kind of go, okay, I know who's good, I know who's bad.
Yeah, absolutely. So all that to say, you take it to heart. Every screening for me feels a bit personal.
Okay.
And I never know if I'm supposed to detach myself from it or not. But the reason why I do it, is I feel like I'm stealing the glory of the director in a way, where we did Train to Busan and packed out, sold out screening. And people were howling, people were laughing, people were crying. And I just felt pure joy the whole time, so I feel like I'm stealing from the movie a bit for that. But that's why you do it. So.
Yeah. So that's why you do it. So the natural move is to go from film club to film festival. And you've now compiled these 4 films.
Yeah.
So I guess first off, why the sort of new French extreme? What what drew you to that as a list to curate?
Ooh, yeah, really tough because the idea originally was potentially Korean revenge. You always, when you do these screenings, you always have to kind of like be careful of the direction you go in terms of picking the movies you like versus picking the movies that are going to fill that theater, because every screening can be your last screening. You're constantly trying to convince people that this is worth your time. You're constantly trying to convince the cinemas that it's worth their time. It could have been a screening of, Marvel Avengers 3 and they would have sold out, so why us rather than them? So what was the question? Sorry.
Why choose
French
to create
Extreme,
a new French Extreme
Okay.
festival?
So then why French Extremity? Well, I'm French. Don't
Mhm.
sound like it. Je suis français complètement. Grew up in France, my whole life. And so the more we do these screenings, the more I'm injecting myself into the events. And I have so much respect for French cinema, modern French cinema, actually, things from 2000s onwards. And, the old stuff is great, but I haven't watched as much of it as 2000s over. So it's the Wild West. There's no rules. And it's the similar thing to like, I need people to watch this. I need to see people watch this and I need to hear their thoughts about it. And so when it came to, I want to make a festival, or a marathon, I want it to be one theme, one day. It's cult. But it's also amazing cinema. So I had the backing of the idea that like these movies are critically acclaimed with their people in a way, in their cliques. Titane won the Palme d'Or in 2021 at Cannes. And then it sports a 6 out of 10 on IMDb. So it kind of tells you, the audience reaction is a bit all over the place. But I knew it was special. And I knew the vision was special. And I knew that the other movies, I could tie it all in. It could all make sense. And it could all be modern, interesting. Coralie Farja just released The Substance. It did so well. Okay, cool. Where did those ideas come from? Well, she made another movie called Revenge. Nice. Let's do that one. But
also as well, for Revenge, very few of us will have seen it on the big screen because it was a director Shudder release. So.
Yeah, so that's actually a really good point. I'll tangent back to this later. I'll go to your point in a second. But then you have Martyrs, and it all started with Martyrs. It was one of those like, damn, I really want to see that on the big screen. Oh, cool. Well, let's do something around that. And then, of course, Titane connected really well with it. And then Revenge connected really well with it. And then to go back to Martyrs is fundamental for me as a movie of like blowing my freaking mind, of like a movie. And I won't spoil the movies, don't worry, but a movie that there's real thought behind it. And it's kind of the angst of being a young adult in a movie. I think Pascal Laugier was going through some tough stuff. So I've heard. It could be wrong, but he was going through some things when he made that movie, Dark Places, and it just oozes that on screen.
I've never felt so out of control as the first time I watched that film, because I've watched extreme cinema before, and there's a formula to it. And I think when you still had the wave crashing on us of what people call torture porn,
yeah,
I was ready for that.
Yeah,
but then where Martyrs goes isn't the same place at all, and it whips the carpet from under you so much, which is unusual for that kind of hard genre. And I think I said to you before, but when I finished watching it, it was 2 a.m, and then there's a review by me on Time Out's website under the review of Martyrs, of me just trying to make sense of it.
It makes you look inwards, and the thing about, I don't know if it's it has elements of torture porn for sure. It's very violent. It's very real. But it's by definition, the way it was started was always, it had to be real. It had to feel real. The way they did the special effects, the way they did the makeup, it all started from, I need this to be believable. Because you just keep going on, and Out of Control is a really good way to describe it, because you keep just losing the plot. Not losing the plot, sorry. You just keep getting dragged into it. everybody talks about that fourth act or third act or 3.5 act of like the substance where it keeps going, just crazy and crazier. And Martyrs has an element of that, of like, I can't take anymore. It just pulls you into it even more. And then if the movie ended when it gets the worst, I don't think we'd talk about Martyrs. I think it'd just be like a snuff film that just nobody talks about anymore. But because of the ending, so we won't spoil it, but because of the ending.
It has a big idea which it delivers on that you're not necessarily seeing coming
so well.
And when it comes, you're like, what?
Well. It's a stroke of genius. And then, of course, you got High Life, which is sci-fi. And I think what I liked about High Life, multiple aspects of it. As I said, you always have to toe the line between what is commercially viable and what you love. And not saying I don't love High Life. It's definitely the more artsy of the 4 movies, in my opinion. But there's 2 things I love about it. It's a French director, Claire Denis, very famous in her circles. And then you have, you've got Robert Pattinson coming off Twilight. You've got Mia Goth before she did X and Pearl and all that. And I just love seeing them being directed by this French director. And it sounded like a really tough shoot. But the ideas are there. It's fun. It's a fun movie. So there you go. And also it's a sci-fi movie. So I was like, okay, cool. We got a bit of everything. It's actually rare to find sci-fi movies in this genre. So yeah, I thought, cool. That's your 4 movies. And if I do this again, what I would like to do, which we could talk on forever, but what I would like to do is maybe incorporate like some short movies that are released like this year or haven't been released yet to make it feel more like a festival.
So what? But you have put a panel in there. So what can we hope from the panel? Who's going to be on the panel, and what are we going to be talking about?
We've got Dr. Alice Bryan, and then we've got Monstrous Flesh podcast, the 2 of them. So you got Clelia and Meg, and I'll be there, but just more as a mediator. Is that the right name? Just someone who's just kind of going to ask the questions, really. But Alice is on the Martyrs Blu-ray re-release in the special features. That's releasing on the 28th of October. 27th, actually, just a few days before the festival.
Yeah.
So I thought, let's get her up and see what she thinks. So she's a quote expert. No, she's an absolute expert. Sorry, not quote. She's an absolute expert in her field. She teaches history and movies in London. And she knows so much about New French Extremity. So I'm hoping to learn something from her and also get her point of view as a woman and talking about New French Extremity. And, I think we talked about how interesting it is that like women gravitate towards these kind of movies and the violent movies also. And I want to hear their point of view. It's Clelia and Meg. They run a podcast called Monstrous Flesh, which is all about horror movies. And they also have courses at Broadway Cinema in Nottingham about movies and women in horror and stuff like that. So
I must admit, and maybe it's because social media makes it more visible.
Yeah.
But when I was of an age discovering horror films, and you were testing your own metal against each other, and you're having your next rite of passage after next rite of passage.
Yeah.
It was a very male orientated sport.
Yeah.
But because of what I'm seeing on the internet and what I can see on social media, there is a great love and deep understanding of why they love it from female horror fans, which always surprises me, just because I've kind of just imagined it wasn't of interest. But there is obviously a different point of view of what extreme horror is from a female audience's point of view. I mean, famously, there's the book by Carolyn Glover, feminist academic, who deconstructed the kind of extreme horror as was come, the early 90s. But we've since seen the birth of torture porn and various other sort of, spin-offs from that. In the mainstream, we're not even talking about, then you can go into your full found footage substrata, of kind of shitty films that are just violent for no narrative's sake. They're just violence. And, people of both genders and no genders seem to enjoy them in equal measure.
I think there's something about movies eliciting feelings. And I think with time, we're trying to get more and more. I think that's why there's this kind of like rebirth of the most gory in a way. What was that movie? With Art the Clown.
Oh, Terrified.
Yeah, and so when that came out and became a whole sensation thing,
the biggest curveball in my horror watching life was that becoming so popular.
I think there's something about it just being so extreme that you have this massive reaction to it. But there's the safety of saying it's a movie, and so you can be like, it's not real. But I think there is that, like, the further we go on in film, I think the worse that's gonna get. But it definitely has its place. I love that it's all community driven. You know, I'm pretty sure it was crowdfunded the first few.
But I would say though, part of horror's extremity, and Titane is one of them.
New French,
is, and this is just cinema in general.
Yeah.
I mean, Texas Chainsaw does something similar to what Titane does. Is that you have the filmmaking cinematic thing of the edit.
Yeah.
To make us think we're seeing something that we're not.
Yeah, sure.
So this is no big spoiler, but there's a scene where the protagonist is reconstructing her face in a very violent way. And it's
a way to say it, yeah.
And you feel every single bone crunch as she smashes her face into whatever it is. But actually, when you rewatch it, you don't actually see it. What you're seeing is an edit and a hard sound.
Sure.
Much like you never see any gore in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but you're convinced you do. Or even like more famously, I guess, the ear cutting scene in Reservoir Dogs.
Okay.
Everyone swears blind they saw him cut the ear off. But what you see
don't.
is a close-up on Mike Madsen's face as he does it.
By design, and it's because whatever you imagine is always worse than what you can see.
And also we magically join up the dots. So we fill in blanks.
Yeah.
Which is what the magic of cinema is, I think,
in
some ways.
Absolutely. And the great thing about New French Extremity, in a way, is just that the violence is always believable for me. I mean, Titane has some really wild ideas in there, but none of the violence of it is unbelievable. None at all. You know, the reconstructing your face part. It's like, oh my God, I could do that to myself right now. And you know, when you have that thought in the back of your brain, like, maybe I should just jump into the train track, see what happens. Or maybe I should throw that brick against the TV. Weird things like that. Those movies do that for you. And you get to live them.
So let's remind people then.
Yeah.
When can they go to your festival?
It's happening on the 1st of November at the Savoy, Nottingham. And it's being made and organized thanks to funding, thanks to Film Hub Midlands Pitch Pot Fund scheme, which has made this whole thing possible. It would have been impossible without them.
Fantastic. And how much is a ticket?
£20.
£20 for 4 films and a panel. I think that's good value.
Yeah, not to mention the vendors. We also organize vendors, which is good.
Okay, so who's going to be there?
Well, we've got Ghost and Cobwebs.
What do they sell?
So these have all been selected based on just the weird and wacky things they do. But Cobweb does little, like, kind of ghosts that are made out of felt and stuff like that. I might be wrong, but she handmades these beautiful ghosts, basically, along with a bunch of other things that she makes, and I love it to bits. And that's why she's part of it, and she has a really nice presence. Her table is beautiful. Then you've got Print is Dead. They do custom prints, and they've got stickers and stuff like that. Also around horror movies and whatnot. Also a great table presence. It's funny to say that table presence is so important in a vendor. And then last but never least, for sure, is Tough Mary's Bakery, which I definitely think is the best bakehouse, is the best bakery in Nottingham, Tough Mary's Bakehouse. And they make croissants and all types of patisseries and bread. But what I love about it is that I was able to join the food, a part of being French, I guess, into the festival. So people will be able to eat a croissant while they're watching Titane, if you want to eat anything watching that movie. But you can connect the dots, and I like that a lot.
I like the idea of that. I drank a White Russian once watching Big Lebowski at the cinema. So
you go. See? I think that's an untapped part of cinema. I really do. Food and that kind of stuff. Popcorn is great. I'm not saying, but like connecting that is a very important. Food and cinema for me, very important. So you got those 3 vendors. And then I don't know when this is going out, but we'll probably have announced by then that everybody who gets a ticket also will get a zine. A zine, yeah, there you go. Which we're designing at the moment, which has been a wonderful experience also. So
fantastic. Sounds like you're putting your heart and soul into this.
Every single minute of my life.
Indeed. Well, look, thank you for sharing and introducing us to your first film festival. Very best of luck. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming.
I've never seen Martyrs on the big screen. So when I saw you were hosting that and that alone, I was like, right, I'm in.
Well, that's what I think, yeah. And I think it's not crazy to £20 for those 4 movies. And the great thing about Martyrs is that it's the remastered version. So I'm a huge physical media fan, and I love a good remaster. Some are great, some are not so great, but we are showing the 4K remastered of Martyrs that comes out 3 days before the festival. And it's going to be screened in 4K, which I think is fun. Usually in cinemas, they screen 2Ks, DCPs, and we're getting a 4K player into the cinema for this. So how's it going to look on the big screen? I don't know, but I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Brilliant. Well, look, let us move seamlessly into 3 films that have impacted everything in your adult life. Okay. For those that haven't listened before, Sebastian has given me 3 film titles that are memorable and/or have had impact on him in his young life, and we are going to talk about those films for 5 minutes at a time. And every time we hear this sound,
oh my god,
that will signal that the 5 minutes are up. We'll move on to the next film.
I have 5 minutes to talk about each movie?
Yes.
Oh my god.
I will, in the words of Magnus Magnuson from Mastermind, which may be a reference that goes off your head.
Absolutely.
There used to be an alarm go off at that.
Okay.
And he would go, as a question master, he would go, I've started, so I'll finish. I often, if there's a middle of a thought going on, I will say, finish your thought.
Okay.
All right.
Jesus. Okay.
But the point being is, this is about the energy of the memory of the film. This isn't about you providing us with a film essay.
Yeah, what's it about?
Exactly.
No, okay.
Okay, so starting off, your first choice is the first in a trilogy. It's 2001's The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, directed by Peter Jackson and, of course, adapted from J.R.R. Tolkien's novel. Yeah. This initial installment concerns itself with setting up the meek hobbit from the Shires and his 8 companions as they set out on a journey to destroy the powerful One Ring and save Middle-earth. Fun fact, Peter Jackson gave one of the rings used in the movie to Elijah Wood and Andy Serkis as a gift after the shoot. They both thought they had the only one. I saw this movie on Boxing Day in 2001 in Chelmsford, but tell me, what fond memories does this hold for you, and why did it impact on you?
Okay, so picking that movie is a bit boring because everybody knows it. It's a fundamentally incredible movie for so many people. But why it's special to me is I'm a 90s kid. I was born in 93. And so I would have been 8 or so when that movie came out. And I just remember the world opening up. You know, I was pretty well traveled actually for an 8-year-old. But there's this idea of like, we're going to take our friends and we're going to go on an adventure. And that has stuck with me for the rest of my life. And it's about love. It's about male friendship. Also, I think there's a huge part about this. Aragorn and Boromir together is, you know, something I strive to in all my friendships. Just how much they don't gel, and then they do. And then, of course, how can you not mention Sam? You know, Sam isn't on textbook the main character, but he kind of is. And so that's super important for me. This idea that like you might not be the main character of someone else's life, but you can have a huge impact on them, if that makes sense. So yeah, there's that, and there's this idea, you know, it being J.R.R. Tolkien, it's kind of like black or white, you know, of like good and evil. But there is that idea of like the forces of evil and fighting against them, and yeah, I just think it was fundamentally amazing. And then you've got that ending where Sam is going through the water, going after Frodo on the embarkation, and he's just saying, "I'm going with you if it kills me," and I just love it. I just love it so much. I want it to be like. There's also the cool power of it, the cool aspect of it, which is like tenfold in the 2 other movies after that. But you've got all these amazing people to look up to. There's not one of those people in the Fellowship that you wouldn't look up to. They're just fantastic characters.
Where did you, as an 8-year-old, where did you first see this?
Small cinema in Chantilly, France.
Yeah.
There you go. The town of Chantilly. So it's one of the cinemas that it's not deep, as in there's not like rows of seats up and down. It's kind of like just long. And so everybody's kind of on the same like depth, I guess, on their seat. But then the screen is on the fucking ceiling.
Really?
Yeah. It's everybody's looking up like that. But yeah, that's how I saw it. I can't remember. And then, you know, I'm pretty sure we got the VHS. Was there a VHS for that? Yeah, pretty sure, right? Surely. Yes.
Yeah.
And the DVDs. And it was just a part of it's a movie you watch every year. I've watched it every year since I was 8.
I mean, it's a film that sort of that begins and just never lets up on the spectacle.
Yeah.
It was, it is, the Lord of the Rings book was in everyone's imagination. So to dare to try and bring that to life, and obviously,
oh yeah, I mean, I could talk about Peter Jackson forever, and how we should definitely tangent on this later on because I want to use this time preciously. But I think the idea of traveling through film, that was the first one. I'm in New Zealand now. You know what I mean. Like I was in New Zealand when I watched that movie, and or I was in Middle Earth. I
was
guess.
going to say you're not in and that's the cleverness of it, isn't it? Is that he did. I mean, obviously, other attempts had been made before.
Yeah,
and like when we look at like early attempts of Marvel movies, the stuff we could do not in camera that we can do now, didn't exist.
The practical part of it was amazing. It is what makes that movie great. If you compare it to The Hobbit, I think the practical part of it is what makes it amazing, and the on-set stuff or on-location stuff. Sorry. And finally, I'd say that for the traveling part of it is so important because small town kids, so you get to travel doing that, but also it's the reason why I became a fantasy nerd or like a sci-fi nerd. It all started with that movie. Abso-freaking-lutely.
Really?
Yeah, I wouldn't be working at Games Workshop right now if it wasn't for that movie. And the miniature kits that came out the month after and all that. Like, I just wouldn't. I'd just be an accountant or something. I think
amazing.
Yeah, that's where, the Mines of Moria. Okay.
There we go. There we go. There's the first 5 minutes. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Wait, I do need to do a tangent on Peter Jackson right now.
Go on.
What a waste of him and I'm going to ruffle some feathers here, but him and James Cameron, and their absolute fixation on tech and CGI. And I'm the biggest CGI fan. I don't mind. I love tech. I work in IT, for God's sake. But the next movie we're going to talk about is Avatar, right?
Mm.
And I have a hate-love relationship with that movie. But mostly, what if James Cameron just didn't do Avatar? Think of all the amazing movies we would have gotten if he hadn't dedicated his 20 years of his life to this.
We'll get to that.
All right, go on.
Let me. So yes, your second choice is 2009's Avatar, written and directed by said James Cameron.
Yeah.
When it was released, though, I'm not quite sure the plan for all these stories about the Na'vi people on the moon Pandora would stretch to 3.
Oh, he knew it.
Well, he knew it, but given it took 13 years to produce the sequel, and now we've got a 4th and a 5th in the works.
I can talk about that.
Fun fact, most of the animal noises heard in this movie are recycled from where?
Jurassic Park?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, blind guess.
Yeah, notably the T-Rex and the raptors.
Goddamn. Well done.
So, I mean, I don't want to anger you, but what made Avatar so memorable to you?
What year did it release in?
2009.
Yeah, okay. So 2009. So I would have been about bad at math, 15, 14.
By the way, cards on the table.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Really?
Yeah, I managed.
Well, that's the thing. I think, sometimes you grow up with a movie and...
I've got the DVD.
Okay. Okay, so it was the boom of 3D. Avatar cemented 3D for like a full 5 years as like the next big thing.
Yeah.
I went to see Avatar at least 6 times in the cinema.
My word.
At least 6 times. Every time with a different group of people or sometimes the same, I guess. But it was the most mind-blowing experience in my life. Same cinema, by the way. So I'm looking at the ceiling at the screen because it's so high. And I've got the 3D glasses on. And the beginning of the movie of Avatar, if I remember correctly, is air bubbles. Air bubbles in a tank. And they're just in front of you. And it was the coolest thing for me as a kid. It was the coolest thing. And then you've got the whole Na'vi thing going on. And, it's a bit Pocahontas-y, isn't it? About the evil forces coming to get all the resources.
Yeah.
But, is it Jake Sully, his name? I think it is. Or did I get that wrong? I think it is. Main character. And he, the premise is so cool. Sorry, I'm all over the place. Premise is so cool.
That's right.
So Jake Sully loses. He's a military guy, but he loses his legs, or he can't use his legs anymore. Sorry. He becomes handicapped. Oh, it sucks. And he's such a great resource. He'd be amazing. And then there's this new program. Hey, there's this planet Na'vi people. We can plug you into this machine. You'll become a Na'vi, and then you have this whole sequence of like, I can run again. I'm 2 meters high. It's amazing. And And then you have this whole kind of like Na'vi thing going on. So do I love Avatar as a movie? No, not really. But I loved me going to the cinema watching Avatar, if that makes sense. I love me taking my grandmother to see Avatar, and it's a 3-hour movie, and she was losing it by the end of it. Being, what are we doing here? But I think I love this idea of we were kids and we were enthralled by cinema. And thank you, James Cameron, for making that. I really wish you hadn't done all the other ones, but there is something about the magic of that. And I am, I guess, crapping on the other ones, but in a way, there is another 14-year-old kid out there that swears by Avatar 2 as being the best experience of his life. So in a way, it's all worth it.
So novelty and uniqueness coming along at a certain point in your life, sort of seduced you in that moment.
Oh my God, yeah. There's something about so I love, even as I grew up, I'm into Warhammer these days. I work for the company, for God's sake, but I love big mechanized robots. It's de facto. And then Matrix 3 has big robots, and that blew my freaking mind. And then Avatar has big guys that go into robots, and they've got these extended arms, and they're shooting massive cannons. And I was like, that's the best thing I've ever seen in my life. So that led me to Pacific Rim and all those other mech movies. Not Akira, sorry, but the other one, Gundam for sure. Yeah. So Evangelion, that's how you pronounce it. So yeah, just that is also a fundamental reason why I am who I am today.
So in that sense, then, if you had such a hot love for it, like it was a holiday romance,
sure.
At what point in your life did you begin to sort of isolate that as a moment and not something that's going to last forever?
I think first of all, it was a flashback when you asked me the question, pick your 3 movies. And I was like, well, a part of me wanted to pick the cool movies, I saw, I don't know, something cool or something. But actually, I had to go, well, actually, what actually made an impact on me? And you got the Star Wars, you got, as I mentioned, the Matrix, but Avatar, because it was the revolution of cinema, of experiencing this with other people and coming out of that cinema and being like, wasn't that cool? Wasn't the 3D amazing? And thinking we were living in the future because it was 3D,
I mean, I'll never ask that question.
You've never asked that question.
I'll never ask that question. Right then, on to your final choice.
I can't remember this. What is it?
We'll get there.
Okay.
Your final choice is 2007 Spanish horror Wreck.
Oh!
Which birthed a quadrilogy, not a trilogy, and set a new standard in found footage after the Blair Witch had raised the bar so high in 1999.
True.
To my mind, the first is still the most scary and claustrophobic best in the series. Yep. It tells the simple story of a television reporter and cameraman following emergency workers into a dark apartment building and are quickly locked inside with something terrifying lurking in the shadows.
Yeah.
Fun fact, and I think what makes this film so cloaked in darkness is that the shot length in this film is on average 59 seconds, and the longest shot is 17 minutes, which makes me want to go back and watch to find that 17-minute take, because I remember clinging to the back of the seat in front of me at one point when I saw it the first time.
Oh, cool.
So tell me, what fond memories does this hold? Because it's a bloody frightener.
Yeah, okay. So everybody has a point in their life where horror becomes their thing, and you talk to people from the generation above me, it'll be The Exorcist or The Thing or whatever. And for me, it's Wreck.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple reasons for that. And Wreck is found footage, right? So it's the news journalist part of view. We had seen Blair Witch, and that was cool. Very scary, terrifying, but also a bit slow at times. Wreck is adrenaline. It's zombies. What? And it's all in this building, and it's completely believable. We were daydreaming as teenagers of what would we do in the zombie apocalypse. Okay, here we go. This movie shows you what the beginning of a zombie outbreak would look like. And it goes back to the community, to people, because I would have been a teenager during that period of time. And it was when you would bring a VHS or a DVD at your friend's place, and 10 teenagers around a CRT TV, or maybe the first plasma screen, would watch a horror movie together and lose their minds. it's the first time I probably held hands with a girl. You know what I mean? Or kissed or made out or whatever. It was in those kind of situations. And Rec was just one of those that we would always bring and play. And it was intense and amazing. There's this fantastic scene where people are having a heated conversation. It's not a spoiler. People are having a heated conversation in basically on the ground floor of this very European Spanish building. And it has a massive staircase in the middle of it. And obviously you could see right up to the top floor.
Yeah.
And there's this scene where they're just fighting about, I want to go out. No, you can't go out. Quarantine. Yada, yada. And you just hear, and this guy falls on the floor and explodes. And that must have been one of the first times I've nearly peed myself watching a movie. That jump scare is perfect because it's not just sound. It's also, do I hear something? I hear something. Oh my God, I hear something. Something bad's happened. And you have that jump scare and you look around and you go, what the hell is that, guys? And I just love it. I just love it. And then you have the genius of it is that you have that high octane. And then I won't go into the ending, but the ending is slow, claustrophobic. If anybody out there has played the Resident Evil movies, the newer ones, Village, all those, it owes so much to that time at the end of Rec, that period where you go to the source of all this contagion, and it is fucking creepy.
I mean, it's almost a fully immersive film, even though it's a flat 2D experience. Because if you're in a cinema, you're in the dark.
Sure.
This film is largely in the dark.
I don't think I've ever seen it at the cinema.
And it's also not, and when I say it's dark, it's not like that complaint that I couldn't see anything, which we get now, which is everything's shot to that. It's dark in the sense of it's black, or you can see something, and you're fully put into the position like a video game of being with the camera, aren't you? That's kind of what
I think
it does.
The video game comparison is very apt because you're following these characters constantly. You never leave the presenter and the cameraman. And so you kind of see them go through this thing together, and you're invested in these characters. And it's really smart that it starts with the idea like, hey, we do nighttime television, and here's an interview of these guys, and they're firemen, and they play basketball. They're playing basketball, cool. And then they're all called out on a mission, and they're like, oh, exciting, we're gonna help someone that's falling down the staircase or something. Actually, it's something way worse.
But even though what is in the shadows is supernatural or beyond, I'll finish my thought. What works so well is something you were saying earlier about this is something I could do, is we all know what it's like to be in a room with the lights off and not be able to see. It can make any situation immediately scary. And even if it's just your friend brushes the back of your neck with their hand, you're like, ah! So the film really plays on a really simple base in our DNA kind of thing, hardwired. Fear of the dark.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of that. A fear of the dark, zombie films come with a fear of the contagion, which is very well done in this movie too. And you follow a group of people and they're all being picked out one by one. And it's about how do you sequester them in this building and survive. Well, look, sir, that has brought us to the end of 3 films that have impacted everything. That was good. In your adult life. I have so much to talk about. Well, look, and thank you for sharing and introducing us to the first Dead Duck Cult Film Festival. Very exciting. So remind us. 1st of November. When and how can we see it? Yeah, 1st of November at the Savoy. Made with the help of Film Hub Midlands. And what is showing? So we got Titane. We got High Life. We got Revenge. And then we've got Martyrs. We got Martyrs. And sandwiched between that, we've got a panel talk about the new French Extreme movement. Can you believe it? Yeah, it's awesome. Brilliant. What more do you want for £20, dear audience? It just gives me... better. I can't do anything better, guys, please. It just gives me to say thank you very much. Gives you time on the podcast. Yeah, thanks for having me. Do remember to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, follow on Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts for more movies that impacted your life. And if you want to, I'd love to know what your favourite movies are, what your fondest movie memories are. So please
Share your favourite movies that impacted your life on Twitter. Look for @LeightonRocks. And you can always leave me a review, 5-star preferably. And in your review, tell us which 3 films impacted your life. Best ones get read out on the podcast.
Hey there, Hugh from Podderation here. If you like today's show, why not check out Malt and Magic, a D&D podcast where things are almost literally homebrewed. Malt and Magic is a show that focuses on the immersive and collaborative natures of TTRPGs, working with a cast of amazing characters to create an epic hub where fantasy, mystery, sci-fi, horror, and cyberpunk all collide in one gripping, funny adventure. If you'd like to hear more, check out our website at podderation.com.